The sirens were the first thing anyone heard, echoes bouncing off the lake like the universe itself was trying to wake up sleepy little Lake Greenwood. Red and blue lights spinning across manicured lawns, neighbors' curtains twitching, a couple folks already filming. I was out front, hands dangling at my sides, mower quiet behind me, sweat running down my neck when Karen's voice cut through the buzz, sharp as a splinter. "There he is." She had her HOA binder pressed to her chest, like it could block a bullet. Eyes locked on me, like I'd stolen the moon. Two cruisers rumbled up, doors opening in slow motion. Phones raised, even a drone whirring overhead like an angry wasp. "Sir," the first cop said, voice steady, "step away from the grass." I almost laughed. "Step away from the grass," I repeated, "officer. I'm literally not cutting anything. That's the problem." Karen shrieked, spitting fire about HOA standards and wildflowers, flipping through her binder like she was trying to cast a spell. And just like that, the scene froze. The second officer, Miller, tall, tired, with a look like he's seen too many of these HOA crusades, gave me a nod. "We got a call, sir. We have to respond." I just sighed. "Officer Miller, I'm following city code. This native patch, it's legal. Got a permit from the city's Green Yards program letters in my pocket." Karen scoffed so hard it sounded like she was going to choke on air. "Fake permits." She barked at the cops not to fall for my tricks, swearing I was the problem since the day I moved in. While she ranted, a breeze stirred the tall cone flowers. A butterfly floated through the chaos, completely unbothered. Then a white city truck rolled up, code enforcement and city environmental. Karen's jaw went tight, then looser, then tight again, like a door trying to decide if it's locked. Out stepped an officer with a stack of bright orange notices, clipboard in hand. "Ma'am," he said evenly, "we received 3 complaints from you this week." He didn't even look at me yet. The air changed. Drones zipped away. Everything paused. He held up a notice. Bold words: "Cease and desist. Unauthorized enforcement actions." Karen's mouth snapped shut, and you could practically hear every neighbor's heartbeat. That moment, the city stepping in, turned our little HOA into the kind of story people gossip about at cookouts and Facebook groups for years. But honestly, it started weeks before that. When I moved to Lake Greenwood HOA first weekend in June, the kind of day the lake looks like brushed steel ducks, trailing neat little lines. Neighbors waving like we're in some postcard town. "My name's Jake Harris. I teach high school science, always grinning, even when the Bunsen burners won't light. I moved here for the quiet, brought banana bread to Tom and Emily across the way, waved at Mr. Brooks, the retired mail carrier, who walks every morning with a radio playing old jazz. I wanted a peaceful life, maybe grow a little patch of native flowers for bees and butterflies, keep it tidy, nothing wild. Grew up mowing lawns for cash, so I know order. I also know a little wild is good for the world." Day 4. A fancy letter. No stamp shows up in my mailbox. All flowery, about upholding the high standards of Lake Greenwood, mandatory orientation, threats of fines if you don't show. At the bottom, a neat little K in blue ink. At orientation, the clubhouse smelled like lemon cleaner and stale coffee. Karen stood at the podium, smile plastered on, arms crossed like a principal waiting to scold a kid. Her badge: Karen President. Cookies I offered, she turned me down, flat allergies, barely looking at me. "You've already gotten 2 courtesy notes," she said. "Your mower lines were diagonal, not north-south. Trash can visible for 18 minutes after pickup." I almost laughed. 18 minutes. "We have standards," she told me. "Lake Greenwood is a brand." She handed me a laminated chart, approved grass fence heights, and in bold, no native patches, monoculture turf only. I explained about the city program, my permit. She cut me off. "The city does not run Lake Greenwood. We do." I left thinking maybe I could reason with her. After all, I teach kids rules bend if you explain. Next morning, a yellow fine fluttered on my door, $150 unapproved landscape plan signed K. I walked over to Mr. Brooks with the slip. Is this normal? He took off his glasses, said Karen's very focused. She thinks order keeps trouble away, but sometimes it just pushes folks. I said I'd talk to her again. He suggested more cookies. I laughed. She's not a cookie person. So I tried. I timed my trash can to the minute, kept my patch even smaller. Kids stopped by to watch butterflies. Tom and Emily showed their baby the bee flowers. But the fine stacked up $450 for grass-length, unauthorized flower colors, disturbing aesthetic uniformity. I reached out to Sarah from the city. She replied quick, said my patch was compliant and I was doing a good thing. It felt like a hand on my shoulder. Still, Karen doubled down. I'd find her measuring grass by the sidewalk, 1.9 inches, she'd announce. I'd offer to show her my permit. She'd frown at the butterfly and turn away. I started to feel pity more than anger. She moved like someone carrying a weight too heavy, like she was fighting ghosts no one else could see. Then the heat wave hit. One evening, Emily called from her porch, AC, dead baby overheated, Tom not home. I ran over, cooled the baby, called the power company, sat on the floor until Tom arrived, looking like he'd been punched in the gut. Thank you, he said, eyes wet. We're neighbors, I told him. Karen drove by, AC blasting, shot me a look and pointed at her watch, then my lawn. That night, a new notice hearing scheduled for failure to comply. I laughed, sighed, went to see Mr. Brooks again. She's pushing, he said softer. Her husband left. She took over the HOA to fill the hole. Doesn't make it right, but makes it make sense. Kindness is seeing the person inside the problem, he told me, but you don't let someone bulldoze you. At the hearing, Karen ran the meeting like a court trial, banging her gavel voice brittle. I showed my city letter photos, every scrap of proof. Tom stood up. Jake helped my daughter. His flowers hurt no one. Denise, whose son counted butterflies, added, he wants to do a school project because of Jake's yard. Karen snapped back. Stories don't change rules. I said rules should help people. These fines feel like control. Suddenly the city rep walked in. Badge folder, calm as you please. We received multiple complaints, he said, and wanted to clarify. Mr. Harris, your planting is compliant. HOAs can't fine for what's protected by city code. Karen's jaw locked. Neighbors whispered the city guy called code enforcement. And the next thing you know, sirens lights everyone out on their lawns again. This time, the orange cease and desist slapped against the HOA door for unauthorized enforcement. Karen shouted, binder shaking, he refuses order. Her voice cracked. Officer Miller looked at her gently. Ma'am, this isn't about grass. He handed her a notice and the world went still. Neighbors stared. Karen's face drained white. For a moment she looked so lost, binder clutched like a shield. Papers slipped from her grasp, fluttered across the sidewalk, fines, letters, even a note in her handwriting, keep control or lose everything. And suddenly she snapped, lunged at me in front of everyone. I braced, didn't move. She slammed into my chest, smaller than me, but wild, the officer pulling her back, her hair a mess. You don't get it, she screamed. He's destroying everything I built. Mr. Brooks called out. Don't move, son. Neighbors gasped. Even little Benji, no more than 10, piped up. I like the butterflies. Karen froze, shame and anger warring on her face, then stormed off, muttering, this isn't over. That night she left a note under my door, her handwriting shaky. You think you've won. Watch yourself. The next morning she nailed a sign to the clubhouse, order will be restored. Violation hearing for Jake Harris. Public testimony required. Neighbors rallied. Tom, Emily, even folks I barely knew promising to speak up for me. The meeting that night was a circus. Karen raged about order, calling me a cancer. Mrs. Patel said my flowers made the neighborhood kinder. Tom said people matter more than perfect grass. Even Benji told the crowd, butterflies make me happy. When it was my turn, I said, I moved here for peace. I followed city law. I wanted to help, not fight. But control dressed up as rules isn't community, it's a cage. Karen lunged at me. The lights cut out panic and chaos. Mrs. Patel fainted. Paramedics came. The meeting ended in the dark. Afterward, Karen escalated, brought in 2 men in suits, tried to drag the state in, served me with a lawsuit. I called Sarah at the city, got a pro bono attorney named Ava, calm, tough and quick on her feet. She filed a restraining order, demanded records, and soon enough evidence of fake fines and a compliance fund started surfacing. Neighbors testified, board members confessed they'd been bullied into silence. When a crew showed up to destroy my garden with a fake court order, neighbors stood between the mower and my flowers. Mr. Brooks waving his cane like a flag. Cops, code enforcement, county auditors rolled up. Karen was suspended as president. The county took boxes of evidence. That night I caught her trying to dump papers into the lake. "You don't understand," she whispered. "Without me, it's chaos." I told her, "If your truth is real, you don't need to hide it." County officials recovered the bag ledgers, fake fines, evidence of fraud. Karen broke. She wept. Neighbors watched in silence. She was led away not as a villain, but a broken woman who'd held on too tight. The county audited everything. Interim board, elections, fines, refunded apologies, delivered kids drawing butterflies on sidewalks. Even in court, Karen admitted she'd been trying to hold her life together. The judge ruled her out. The HOA put into receivership restitution for misuse. After the dust settled, Lake Greenwood started healing. Neighbors grew gardens, kids chased goldfinches. Mr. Brooks told me kindness can be louder than control. And I believed it. Sometimes I still wonder about Karen, where she went, if she found peace. But every time I see a butterfly, I remember order isn't rules or grass lines. It's neighbors looking out for each other. Kindness where fear once lived. So where are you watching from? And tell me, what does justice look like? Where you live? Drop a comment below.